والصلاة والسلام الحمد لله اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد ناصر الحق بالحق والهادي إلى صراط المستقيم وعلى آله وصحبه اللهم علمنا بما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وعملا متقبلا خالصا لوجهك الكريم صلى الله عليه وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. So one of the traditions that we find, let's call it a hadith Qudsi, which a hadith Qudsi is a hadith that when you hear it, you hear God, you hear the Prophet saying what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. So, قال الله قال الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم قال الله عز وجل, something like this. So we hear that the Prophet said that God says such and such. Now it's a hadith, it's not Quran. It's not Quran in the sense that Allah Azza wa Jalla gives the Prophet meaning, and He Himself produces the wording for the meaning. And I like a lot because many times we hear Allah talking in first person. You hear Him saying Ana, I like that a lot. It's one of the things I liked about the Quran. When I first read the Quran, is God speaking in first person. So, in one of them, like He says, the Messenger of Allah said, Allah the Most Great said, if my servant likes to meet me, then I like to meet him. And if he dislikes to meet me, then I dislike to meet him. And the word that he uses is abdi. إذا أحب عبدي لقائي أحببت لقاءه, like this. So the name that the wording that he uses is abd. Does anyone know what abd means? Sisters say it means slave, but it's more personal than that. That's actually pretty good, but no, it's not. The servant is khadim. The servant is a khadim.
Slave.
But a slave
is abd linked to ibadah.
Yeah, it is. Abd is linked with ibadah, of course. Anytime you want to know anything about Arabic, if you can figure out what the 3 or 4 or 5 root letters might be of a word, you can do a lot of things with it. So abd, ayn, ba, dal, ibadah comes from that. Ta'abudiyya comes from that. Ma'bud comes from that. It's actually not as complicated as it looks. But what does abd itself mean? You said slave? It's a part of the meaning. Servant? Sure, the abd serves, but a khadim is a servant. These are words we use all the time. So what does it mean? Abd. So the Arabs in the room, if I say هذا الهاتف عبدي. Yeah, it's possession. Something that it's a possession. هذا عبدي. Abd actually means possession, something that you own. Something that you own. When you own something, you can do whatever you want with it. If so let's say that these dates are gifted to me, and so I say, okay, cool. So then I take the dates and I throw them. As long as I don't throw them at you, or maybe in the house, or on someone's property, it's fine. I can do whatever I want with them. Even though it'd probably be better if I put the dates in my body, they might go a lot further than putting them on the ground. I can do what I want because they're my slaves, in the sense that I own them. Like the phone, hada abdi, this is my possession. So when he says, if my servant likes to meet me, if my possession, if that thing, that object, or that person that I know likes to meet me, in other words, inclines toward me, if they like to meet me, if they incline towards me, then I do the same, I incline towards them. But if the opposite is the case, then that's also the case with me. If he doesn't or she doesn't incline towards me, then I just dislike to meet them. And I think this is a beautiful hadith because it comes along the same meaning of I am to my slave as he thinks of me. Ana inda dhann abdi bi. I am as my slave thinks of me. وَأَنَا مَعَهُ إِذَا ذَكَرَنِي. And I am with him if he remembers me. إِذَا ذَكَرَنِي فِي نَفْسِهِ ذَكَرْتُهُ فِي نَفْسِي. If he remembers me and himself, I remember him and myself. There's a huge secret in these hadith. As a matter of fact, you could say that it's this idea of whoever knows himself knows his Lord. So sure, you can argue and say that's not a hadith. It doesn't matter. The meanings are all over the place. The meanings are all over the tradition. But what I wanted to go talk about, this is Ramadan reflection, so this is the basis of where we want to go with this. But I want you to know that a meeting is a kind of end. A meeting is a kind of end. It is a kind of end. You meet someone, you travel from the house, the other person travels from their house, and you meet somewhere as a kind of end. Do you agree? It's a kind of end. So, have you noticed that every object in the world has a kind of end to it? It has a kind of goal to it. It has a kind of reason for which it exists. Have you seen that? So, for example, that camera that's recording right now, what is its end? What does it do? It records. The walls that are in this room, they weren't made to hang things on them. That seems to be something that's kind of, comes along with, happens to be because of. But the wall's not made specifically to hang things on, even though you can. The wall is for what? To support, not just the house, but to support the roof. If you don't believe me, just knock one of them out. See what happens. Yeah. And what is the roof for? The roof is shelter, to protect me from the sun, to protect me from rain. And it went so far that some of the before these theories about gravity were discovered, they used to go as far as to say these are natural philosophers. They used to say that, for example, the reason why this very heavy pillow, my God, huh?
It's a punch bag.
It's a punching bag. This is the head. Okay, wow, that was. I thought it was getting. Ramadan, it's killing me, man. But it's a punching bag. Okay, this is gonna drop. The reason why, some of them they used to say before these theories of gravity, they used to say the reason why it is that this pillow would drop to the ground is because that's its end. That's where it goes to. In other words, how they understood ends was that this is how it is that you and I seek fulfillment. Your end is your fulfillment. Your end is that thing that which you're lacking. You're lacking this thing, and so you try to get it. So, for example, if I want to shake Sam's hand, why am I reaching forward? Why am I going towards him? Why am I doing that? Because if I sit here, I can't reach his hand. I can't shake his hand. I'm missing something here, so I have to move forward to shake his hand there. Right. And some of you who are in the Masala strip, you heard most of this. But don't worry, it's not a full-on repeat. There's more. Okay. So I reach forward because Sam is not where I am. Therefore, when I strive towards my end, it's because of some kind of fulfillment that needs to be had. Does everyone understand that? Yeah. So again, when you're born, you're generally not born 6'2" like me, right? But I'm going to become 6'2", which means I'm going to grow. And as I grow and I move forward, I'm reaching my full potentiality. As a baby, my eyes weren't totally developed. I guess they didn't end up developing all the way. Otherwise, I wouldn't be wearing glasses. My teeth didn't develop all the way, which is why I lost some and got some others. May Allah preserve our teeth. And whatever was inside my face, the potentiality, wasn't there when I was 11. Thank God. And now, if I don't shave, I have facial hair. These are things that had to be achieved. These are ends that were made along the way. So when you think of it this way, when he says, if my slave, my possession, likes to meet me, if he is pleased to see me as his end, because after Allah, what can there be? Then I am happy, I am pleased to meet him. But with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, obviously, he's not deficient. it means that Allah wants to see him through. If my slave wants to be completed in me, then I'm happy to complete him in me. If my slave sees that he or she is deficient, then I am happy to see them through, to make them efficient in me and through me. This is why you hear some of the people of the path, they talk about this moving towards God. There's 3 stages. There's the to God, there's the with God, and then there's the in God. To God is that your end, your destination, that thing which fulfills you, it is far from you. You can't see it, you can't apprehend it. The with God is that you realize, he was never far from me. He was never far from me. He's always been with me. The in God is that you have a difficult time finding yourself. The in God is you have a difficult time finding yourself. When someone starts talking to you about yourself, when they start praising you, you say, well, maybe, but I can't see myself long enough to agree with you or disagree with you. As a matter of fact, you keep talking, I just wish you'd say Allah. Because that would be your words are taking too long to say what is the case. And just say Allah and be done with it. And if the same kind of person, may Allah give us compassion, the same kind of person, when they're in Allah like that, when people start talking badly about them, they're human. But eventually, and as time goes on, it takes less time for them to say, I don't really care if you like me or don't like me. Just say Allah. Because you're going to tell me to say Astaghfirullah. So I say Astaghfirullah. And I'll make it faster, I'll just say Allah. So whoever it is that is pleased to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah ta'ala is pleased to meet them. And again, the meaning that we're going with is that whoever it is that sees that God is the ultimate end, then God is happy to make that person reach him. Man ahabba liqa Allahi, ahabba liqa'ahu. And the opposite is true. Whoever it is that is not pleased to find Allah as the ultimate end, Allah is not pleased to show that person He is the ultimate end. So how do you know where you are? If you find yourself saying Allah, 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 you're going the right way. If you find yourself not saying Allah, 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 either you've stopped or you're going the wrong way. In either way, you won't find completion. May Allah save us. So a meeting is a kind of end. A meeting is a kind of end. A meeting is a kind of fulfillment. You've gone, but just like I shake Sam's hand, we've met. It's a completion of sorts. It's a fulfillment. And if you look around, as we said, all things have an end. All things have something that they're going to, some kind of fulfillment, some ultimate kind of endpoint. Just to make sure that you understand what I mean by that, can anyone else give an example of something that reaches? Something that reaches its end. Can you? If you can, that would be amazing, because I want to know what reaching is. If you can think of something that meets its end. Think of it. Give me an example.
Building a piece of furniture.
That's a beautiful one. Why?
Because it has an end goal, purpose.
Purpose. Life itself. And that's kind of where I was going with it. Our life, this is called teleology, by the way. Our life is teleological. Our life has an ultimate end. In other words, and that ultimate men is called fasting. That ultimate end is what gives us meaning. If you, for example, if we say that building a chair is a teleological, it's a movement, an event that has some kind of end, we know the chair's meaning by its end, don't we? What is the meaning of a chair? Its purpose, in other words. It's to use like a ladder when something's too small and you can't nail something high up, right? No, that's not what it's made for. You shouldn't really use it that way. A chair is because the door, you don't want someone coming in the room, so you put the chair under the door handle so no one can come in. Is that what it's made for? No. The meaning of the chair is based upon its end. If that's the case, then what is the meaning of man? What's the meaning of man? Look, this halva halwa, or halwa, or however you want to pronounce it, sweet. This good thing, which I devoured very quickly, and it was tasty. It has an end. What does its end? To make me smile, right? Or to make me throw up, because I ate too many of them. What's the purpose? What's the purpose of clothing? What's the purpose of clothing? For style? Protection from the elements. What's the purpose of the carpet? Oh, the carpet, that's so you can put the chocolate cake. You find a new home for the chocolate cake, that's the carpet's purpose. No, it's so that your feet you feel more comfortable. If you look around, everything has an end. Everything has a purpose. But why are we looking at ourselves? What is my end? What is my purpose? If I know the end of the carpet, I know what its meaning is, I know what its value is. When I look at myself, and okay, we agree that the halwa is a thing, yes or no? Is it a thing, yes or no? Yes. Is the carpet a thing, yes or no? Yes. Is the wall a thing, yes or no? That means, am I, at the most basic level, a thing? Yes. All these things have an object. So everything has an object. Abdul Latif is a thing. Therefore, Abdul Latif has an end. An end. Is everyone following me? Everything has an end. Abdul Latif is a thing. Therefore, Abdul Latif has no end? That's wrong. That's false understanding. All of us can agree that everything has an end, but the question is, have I asked myself, what is my end? What am I for? How would I be able to decide what my meaning is? Would I be able to base my meaning upon things that they themselves have a meaning based upon an end? Ask yourself that question. Am I going to be able to understand what my end is by looking at objects who also have an end just like me? Or do I need to go to something that has no end in itself and it has no beginning? Do you follow? In order for me to understand what my meaning is, I need to go to my end. But my end has to be something that itself is not defined by other ends. It has to be something that has no beginning either. It's a play on words, but it's true. You with me? In other words, in order for a man to be able to understand his or her meaning, I have to be able to determine what my end is. And in the book of Allah, how do we know what our end is? Do you know? This is why we turn to the Quran. The Quran gives man meaning. This is what these philosophers, these thinkers and these philosophers, many of them have kind of messed up our lives because they don't even know what man is for. And since they don't know what man is for, their philosophies follow those ways of thinking because they don't know what man is for. Some of them, they think that man is simply taking up space. But all of us, we know, if that's the case, if man is just simply taking up space and has no meaning, then why does it bother us so bad when someone dies? No, we have a meaning. It's an intrinsic meaning, and we know that. So where is it in the book of Allah that we can find the meaning of man? You know. That's it. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. I have not created man or jinn but to worship me. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ. I have not created. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْإِنسَ وَالْجِنَّ إِلَّا means I have not created man or jinn for any reason whatsoever but to worship me. Now the way that I worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the way that an angel worships Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, are they the same? Does an angel worship Allah the same way that I do? Allah has some angels that are in ruku'. He created them in ruku', they're not coming out of it, ever. He has some angels that are in qiyam. They're there, they make qiyam, they're there forever. Our little tarawih where we stand and do our little 20 rakats, that's not even the blinking of an eye. Of the blinking of an eye, of the blinking of an eye, of an angel that's been created for Allah to worship Him. If my worshiping Him, if what gives me purpose is a kind of worship that other things can worship Him like in this way, it doesn't give me any meaning because they do it better in the first place. Do you follow me? Allah has angels that are praying salah all day long, so my worshiping Allah can't be the worship that's in the salah, because If that's my meaning is low because they do it so much better. Allah has some angels that they make dhikr. They make dhikr constantly. If my purpose of life is to make dhikr, even, which is actually something very close to my heart, there's creatures that do it so much better. That can't be my specific purpose because that makes me no different than you. I need something that makes me different. What did Allah say? وَعَلَّمَ الْآدَمَ أَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا. Allah taught Adam all the names. That's what made him different. That's what made his worship different. That's what makes his end different. It's his capacity to know. What makes you and I different? What makes man different? What makes woman different? Is our capacity to know. Our capacity to know what? To know Allah. What is different about me is my capacity to know the end. The end. What makes me different is my capacity to know the end. And how do we know that that's my capacity to know the end? Because Allah said, فَعْلَمْ أَنَّهُ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهُ. He said, no, there's no God but God. He didn't tell that to the rocks. He didn't tell that to the trees. He didn't tell that even to the malaika. Who did he speak to? Human beings. And jinn have a similar capacity. What makes me different than other people? What makes me significant over a crazy heavy pillow? Or a laptop, or a date, or a carpet, or a wall, or anything else that has a means. What makes me incredibly different is that I am able to recognize the end. This battery, it recognizes an end. It's called a carpet. And that's where it's going to. But as for me, I wasn't created to be thrown on the carpet. And as for me, I wasn't created to be sat upon like a chair. And I wasn't created to be read like a book. And I wasn't created to be fed like a cow. That's not what I'm for. I'm created to know the end, the end. And if I know the end, then I master all those things that have an end, do I not? Is it not the case? If I know the end, ta'ala, then I have mastery over all ends. And don't we see that that's what Allah has given human beings? To whatever extent that they know the end, hence their purpose. This is why we always go crazy over, like we always talk about the glory days. Yeah, the Muslims reinvented water. We're so excited because what it is, I mean, if you really look at it, we almost did. I'm serious. Allah gave the Muslims things you would not even imagine. You think that Europe had it the whole time. Just look at Muslim history. But that only happened because we recognized the end. Through the barakah and through the efforts and through the love and the muhabba of Sayyidina Rasulullah and the revelation he was given, we realize our humanity in that by realizing our end. If you take away the end of a battery, what happens to the battery? The battery becomes useless. Dead, because it doesn't charge, for example. It becomes useless. If you take away the end, the usefulness of a chair, like you break one of its legs, or you split it in half, so that you can't sit in it, it becomes useless. If it doesn't serve its end, it becomes useless. So if you and I do not serve our end, what do we become? And if my end is to know Allah, then what do I become if I don't serve that end? Say it. You know it's true. If I don't know my Allah, and if I don't try to know my Allah, I'm not reaching my end. And if I don't reach my end, I become utterly useless. As a matter of fact, I just take up space on the planet. And the worst kind of person that does stuff like that is the one who is standing in the way for other people to know Allah, by trying to tell you that you don't have to know Him, or that you can't know Him. These kinds of things. Their end is to get in your way. May Allah forgive us. So a meaning is a kind of end. All things have an end, and the ultimate end is God. Because there is no end, no goal after Him. And that's why He said, oh yes, right. وَأَنَّ إِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ الْمُنْتَهَى. That's why Allah says, وَأَنَّ إِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ الْمُنْتَهَى. And verily to your Lord is the end. This is Quran. This is a very deep ayah. وَأَنَّ إِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ الْمُنْتَهَى. And verily to your Lord is the end. That means that all ends, all goals, themselves even end up in Allah. You want proof of that? I'll give you proof of that. What is the purpose of a date? To make me happy. So the purpose of a date, let's just say, is to make me happy. Now I want to ask you, if I pick up a date that has a worm inside, am I going to be happy? Unless, that's just how we get down. No. If I put the date into my mouth and I find a little critter inside, I'm going to be upset. That date has not served its purpose. But we know that dates have purpose, they have some end for me. If I take the date and I put it in my mouth and I enjoy that and I get the satiation from it, I get happiness from it, I get a kind of fulfillment in the date, if that happens, we can say it's been a good day. Now, I'm asking you as people who believe in La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, does the date have the capacity to make you happy in and of itself? Does the date have the capacity to make you happy in and of itself, or is there a quality that Allah puts inside the dateness that makes you happy? Well, if we say that the date does it by itself, then we're saying that the date is a kind of God. It's dependent on God. And the proof behind that is, if you look in the Quran, you see that Allah made the fire become cold for Abraham. If the fire had its own end, if the fire was independent, if it was its own end in itself, if it's independent, when God told the fire to be cold, He would have said, I don't really do that. I'm sorry, you have to find someone else. That's not what I do. But obviously the fire cannot do that. So and the fire is just an element. Like that, the date that's in my hand, the date cannot satiate me. Allah is the satiator, and I want to be satiated. So in order for me to get somewhere, I have to make a satiation move. I take my hand, I put it on the date, I put the date into my mouth. I feel some kind of satiation. You and I both know that not only can the date not satiate me, but I can't be satiated myself from the date. The satiation has to come from Allah to me. Is that true or false? I want to hear you say yes or no. Yes, it's true. When you believe something, this is why you have to say, you say shahada with your tongue. Because iman is to be said. I believe. Now, if that be the case, when I take the date and I put it into my mouth and everything as we described, I want you to know that when you take your hand and when you reach for that date, you're reaching for Allah. How is that? Because that date can't do anything for you. You're reaching for Allah because you're reaching for an end. The end you're looking for that's inside of the date is an end that Allah has put in the date, because Allah is the end, and these are tiny ends. He is the end. وَأَنَّ إِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ الْمُنْتَهَى. And to your Lord is the end. What that means is that, I want you to know that every movement in the universe is reaching some end. And that means that every movement in the universe is reaching Allah, whether it knows it or doesn't know it. Do you understand? Are you with me?
Yes.
These are men in the front. I want to hear you say, yeah. Okay. I don't like that stuff, man. You gotta say something. Okay. And I'll say this, I'll go through it in different ways. Moving toward an end is love itself. Moving towards some kind of end is love itself, because love is inclination. This means that everything in the universe is in love. It's in love with its end. And who might that be? Ta'ala. وَأَنَّ إِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ الْمُنْتَهَى. We can say that there are aspects of Allah that are in love with Allah. How? His name? His name is not His end. His name is something that His end is called. But it's not His end, it's not His very being. His attributes, they're not His very being, but they are something which are in love with and describe His end. So you can even say that there are aspects of Allah that are to Himself. وَأَنَّ إِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ الْمُنْتَهَى. Allah, this is how Allah loves Himself. Because He knows how fulfilled He is. They say that when you hear Allahu Akbar like that, randomly like this, it means whatever's been said before is the truth.
What did she say?
You're a drug addict, dude. Look at that. Straight heroin in this. Did they finish the other one?
I think it was a mobile phone.
That was just random.
He has mobile phone.
I told you, man, it's random. Okay. So moving toward an end is love itself. We'll explain in a second. Just to put this in your mind. Inclination is movement towards some goal. Okay. Love itself is inclination. If you want proof, like people ask, if I had more time, I would take you guys. I would put you through grueling exercises, where your head, you can start to get a headache, start to cry. We have a great time. But I'm gonna condense that for you and just give you Quran. Love is not necessarily an emotion. Love is not necessarily towards that which is good. It is not necessarily towards that which is bad. Love is not what Hollywood told you that it is. Love is inclination. Inclination is when you go from not having something to having something. That's called inclination. I incline physically towards Sam, literally, because I don't have his handshake. You can say that that's a movement of love. If you don't believe me, listen to Quran. Allah talks about a man who has multiple wives. And he says to that individual, this polygynous man, he tells him, his command to him is, do not incline towards them with all inclination. Or rather, don't incline towards one of them, rather with all inclination. Everyone knows how the Prophet felt about Aisha. Everyone knows that. Everyone knows, it's not a secret. We're here like 1400 plus years ago. We all know that was the one. After Khadija passed, actually Khadija was the one. But then after she passed, Aisha was the one. They knew that, we know that. It's all good, man. And why? Because you can't help how you incline. You cannot do that. It's not your control. But what did Allah say? He said, do not incline towards one, for example, or two, or whatever the case may be, in such a way as to leave the other one mu'allaqa, to leave her literally hanging. He uses the word inclination, mail. This means to incline. Do you know why money is called mal? Mala yamilu? Because we incline towards it so much. It's called mal. But it means to incline. We love that stuff so much that it's called literally, like, it's related to inclining. So love is inclination, and the proof of that is in the Quran when Allah told the Prophet ﷺ and his companions, do not incline towards one woman so much that you cause the other one to feel like Jesus left stranded. So love is an inclination. It's in the Book of Allah. So we don't need Hollywood. Or do you have is there like a British Hollywood? I know, because you guys look at us. You ask anybody what their favorite movies are, it's always American movies. Whatever. You know it's true. So inclination. So everything has some goal or other. Everything has some goal or other. I mean, think about the most mundane activities. I walked into the back of the room, and somebody had a tea kettle going, an electric one, and it was bubbling. It was like I was saying, like, there's not going to be any water left if you don't get right. What's the purpose of the tea kettle? To boil water. I mean, and when it's moving, every movement is an inclination to get something that it doesn't have. When the water's boiling, what is it doing? It's getting hotter. Where was hotter before? Where was hotter before? Oh, hotter. Yeah, hotter was in East Manchester. It came over here. No. Hotter does not exist anywhere. It comes into being. Because the water goes from cold to get something it didn't have, which is hot. That's an act of love. Why? Because it inclines towards something it doesn't have. And that's really deep. That means every movement in the universe is love. And there's a hadith that says, I was a hidden treasure and I loved to be known. So the impetus of the creation of the universe is love. But God creates love in the hearts of His creation by making them deficient, so that they will incline towards their end. Everything has some goal or other. Therefore, everything is in love. Love, then, is the impetus behind all the change that we see in the world. Ask yourself this question, or if you don't, I will ask you until you answer me. Find, is there any trace of permanence in the world? Not trace. Does permanence exist in the world? Yes or no? Sisters say no. Brothers, what do you say?
No. Permanence as in?
Permanence, as in permanence.
We agree. We agree with them.
Huh?
We agree with them.
Do you? You're one guy. There's like...
Permanence is in permanency.
Where is permanency?
Oh.
I'm saying, where is it? Like,
everything is in the state of change.
what's that?
Doesn't change.
What?
That's why
He's saying gold doesn't change.
Gold does change. You can change its shape.
change its shape. It doesn't rest.
But you can change its shape. I'm talking about, is there any permanency? And even gold itself, isn't gold an element? Doesn't it come from something? Doesn't it go towards something? Death is not in the world. That's the problem. Yeah? But don't. I don't want Sunday school answers. No, I want you to think. Look, here's the problem. There is no such thing as permanence in the world. I don't care where you look, how you look, how much you look. To the extent that you investigate, you will find that permanence does not exist in the world. Raise your hand if you want permanence. Raise your hand if you want permanence. I'm telling you, you do. Don't make me come after you. How do you know that you want permanence? If you have $100, how long? I'm sorry, you have pounds, which I don't understand. Pounds are something that's a weight. I don't understand. Maybe it was 100 pounds or something. I don't know. But anyway, listen. If someone gives you 100 pounds, how long do you want that 100 pounds to last? Forever. If someone gives you 1 pound, how long do you want the pound to last? If you have good health, how long do you want it to last? If you have a nice, I'm not saying that I do, but if you have a nice haircut, how long you want it to last? You're like nice and lined up, nice and trimmed. How long you want it to last? I don't want to go back again. That's the problem. If your figure is in a good form, you've been exercising, how long you want that to last? Women don't even lie. She said forever. Like this. Okay, so this is the thing is that we're looking now here. But what I'm saying is that you have never seen permanence with your eyes. You've never touched permanence. You've never heard permanence. You've never even, your in my experience is devoid of permanence altogether. So why in the world are you looking for it? Where is it for you to look for it, to find it? I found 2 conclusions in this. Maybe you can, I'm going all around the UK talking about this. I found 2 conclusions. One, either we are categorically insane because we are doing all types of different things and ending up with the same results, trying to get different ones. Either we are categorically insane trying to find permanence, which makes us all crazy, and if that's the case, then mashallah. Or we knew permanence before we came into this world. Or we knew permanence before we came into this world. And what we're doing now is trying to find that permanence that we knew. Now, obviously, what is the permanence that exists? What is it? That's it. Everything is perishing except his wajh. She's using Quran. She jumped the gun. But that's it. It's Quran. I'm not like, this is not hocus pocus. It's Quran. Everything halik. Look what Allah said. He didn't say everything is going to be destroyed. He said it's destroying. It's in the process. If something is continually annihilating, if something is continually being destroyed, when is it ever really there? Allah said, "Kullu man alayha fan." Kullu man alayha fan. Everything on the surface of the earth has been annihilated. If it's fan, if it already happened, then we've never experienced permanence in our worldly life. Yet every single human being is looking for permanence. Even the atheist is looking for permanence. At the least, he would love it if every believing person permanently stopped believing. But my question to the atheist is, look, if you want that to happen, and you're looking for permanence like me, show me where it comes from. If you can't show me where it's coming from, then you need to, that should be your campaign to make everyone stop believing in permanence. Don't worry about God. You have smaller fish to fry. You with me? So, everything in the world is searching for its fulfillment, and its fulfillment is found in that which is permanent. In love, all things are aiming to reach some end. The fulfillment that an end would provide comes from God. Therefore, every movement that occurs in the world is toward God. Thus, all existent things are in love with Him. Now, I want you to know that if you came here for a religious talk, then you're going to be disappointed. Because I'm talking to you about reality. I'm not talking to you about jurisprudence. We did that before we had Maghrib. I'm not talking to you about politics, which is okay. I'm just not talking about that. I'm not talking to you about tajweed. If you want that, red man, red hat. I'm not talking to you, understand what we're talking, we're sitting and we're having reflections about, we're talking about reality itself. What is this? What am I? What am I here for? Why is this? These are the questions that any decent human being, it has to come to their mind. And as a matter of fact, indecency comes from people that this doesn't come, they don't even think about it. So therefore, because they don't think about it, and they don't have this they're not thinking this way, they do the most indecent things because they've lost their meaning. Even if the name is Muhammad or Ahmed or so and so. How much time do I have left? 4 hours. How much time do I have left for this particular segment of the 4 hours?
Sure.
I think it's up to you. Just pray and share with you.
Okay, so let me just get this. I don't want to. We've been fasting. I don't want to. No, fasting is to help improve this awareness. Fasting is to help to improve this awareness. When you're fasting, what you're doing is you're taking your attention off of the multiple means that are in our lives. I said, for example, this is a meeting. It's unend. Eating a date is unend. Making a phone call is unend. Reading a book is unend. Sitting next to the fan because it's hot and steamy and people forgot to put on their deodorant. This is a means. These are all multiple means. All we see are multiple ends and means in our life. But what Ramadan is for is to help us to take our focus off of these multiple small minor ends to look at the ultimate end. How do you think you're going to be able to see the ultimate end? Where do you think? How do I see the ultimate end? In other words, how do I see Allah? How?
Take away the illusions.
No. No. I can't take away the illusion because I myself am a type of illusion.
I didn't say that you take away, but taking it away.
Who?
That's what Ramadan does.
Ramadan can't take away anything. Ramadan is not a person. Yeah. Yeah, you ask Allah, but look, I'm talking about functionality. How is it that, okay, to make it easier, where am I going to see Allah from in my person? Why my heart? This thing. That one? What do you mean? My soul. Ruh. Why? What's your proof?
Because the soul is natural.
Huh?
The soul already knows God.
Well, yeah, that's beautiful, but it is true. It does go about it. Yeah? Yeah, وَنَفَخْتُ فِيهِ مِنْ رُوحِي. And I breathe into him from this soul that I own. In other words, my abdi. And I breathe into him from my slave. Okay. Look, this hand, where did it materialize? Did I have this hand before I came into this world?
Yes.
I did. I'm like, how? Did I have this mind before I came into the world? Did I have this body before I came into the world? Is my body right now, is it currently decaying? It is. I am dying. I am more dead now than when I first met you guys when we sat down. I'm dying. Oh, look at that, I'm more dead again. I'm constantly dying. I'm a zombie. Okay. The reason what we see Allah with is that thing which itself has a kind of permanence that was given to it. The ruh, once Allah creates the ruh, it never dies. Let me ask you this question. Where's Yasin? Oh, I want to pick on him. Yasin,
He's outside. He's in that window.
Yasin.
No, it's okay, leave it. Someone tell me, I want you to tell me, do this favor with me. While I'm in this segment, do not get on your phones, do not talk to your friends, deal with me directly, because if you can't answer this question, then if we can't answer this question, if we can't deal with this question, then we need to start all the way over. What are you? What are you? If you were to say, if I asked you the question, this is Abdul Latif, what am I?
Human being.
What is a human being?
Thing.
Huh?
Biology class.
No, it's going way past biology now. It's going way past biology. Huh?
Ask Muhammad and Amin.
Oh, I don't know. That's too deep.
I think that's
Yeah, she's saying ask him.
That's you.
she wants you to answer, man.
I was gonna say human being.
Yeah. Tonight, I'm putting you on the spot. Okay, now I'll put myself on the examination table here. Am I my body?
No. So we're saying what we're not. So you're not.
I didn't say we're saying what we're not. I said, what am I? Am I my body?
No.
I'm not your body. So how am I not your body? I mean, so how am I not my body? I'm not your body. Am I you?
Oh, but just because it's not that doesn't mean it's the other.
Yeah, that's true.
So you're gonna die. You're gonna perish. The
Okay.
body's gonna decompose.
Yeah, okay, but let's deal. You're saying that I'm going to decompose. Okay, I'm saying let's deal with what we know now. With what we know right now. Am I my body?
Yeah.
No.
Because you wouldn't be without a body. You wouldn't be able to communicate. You wouldn't be
You mean what
conscious.
makes you you?
I'm asking you what makes me me.
It's not your body because someone else can have your hair. It's not your eyes.
No one can have my hair.
What if you had an identical twin?
Yeah, if you had a, you could have.
If I have an identical twin, that is their body, not mine.
What
To
if
me,
it's
it
not
could
joined?
be this.
So it is your body. That is your
So
body.
you are you.
It is my body. I'm not denying it, man. But I'm saying, what am I?
You're a soul in a body.
Soul in the body. This is.
No, that is what the case
Is
is.
it the truth of it? Let's get there. Let's see.
Yeah. Well,
Let's
I would say
see.
so because he touched upon it earlier when he said that the arwah were in the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that's the organic thing that we're going to go back to.
But you're saying arwah, you're saying Quran, you're saying I want to know what we can see with my eyes.
I see
You
your
can't
soul.
see his soul, but
I
yeah.
can see your ears reflecting your soul.
You can't see my body reflecting my soul. You cannot see that, man. If you can, what color is my soul? Exactly.
Green.
Green. MashaAllah. It's maybe sick a little bit. Okay, I am not my body because my body changes. My body changes. That which, the definition is something that has to be permanent. My body changes. Does it not? Was I born 6'2"? Thank God for my mother, I was not born 6'2".
I think we are what we think. Our thoughts.
Or what you know.
Okay, but when you're sleeping, what are you? When I'm sleeping, I see a monster, so that's what I am. Alright, so think about this. Now let's just see, by process of elimination, we're going to understand what we are. What am I? Okay, I can't be my body because my body changes. I can't be what I think because I'm constantly thinking something else. That doesn't work. Because a definition is something that has to be, in other words, you have to be, for example, if I say, what is a shelf? A shelf is that which you put books on, always. It doesn't change, because that's what the shelf does, always. What is it that I am? No, wait. If you're looking at me, don't talk about soul, don't talk about, you can't see my soul. If you can, then mashallah, you should be sitting here and I'll just shut up. No, how can I be a nothing? If I was a nothing, then when I run the red light, the cop thinks I'm something.
You're a piece of flesh that just grows and gets older.
Is that all that I am?
No.
Wait. This body that I have, maybe I'm my attributes. Maybe I am 6'2"-ness. Maybe I am brown-eyedness. Maybe that's what I am. Maybe I am my attributes. What do you think?
Everything put together.
Maybe I'm a collection of attributes. But then the question comes, if I'm a collection of attributes, then how come, if I'm a collection of parts, how do we explain the unity in my actions? When I do something, it's one solid unit. My activity is one. It's not a collection of parts. And when you talk to me, you identify me as a he, not an it. That's why you don't call cars unless you're being cute. Him or her. You don't, because it's not a person.
Unless you're French.
Yeah. And that's,
Okay.
this is English, alright? Yeah. I was almost said this is America, but that was not America. The reason why I can't be my attributes is because my attributes change. You know what I am? I must be my name. No, I'm my name. You hear what he said? He said a lot of people have your name. I'm not the only Abdul Latif. Not only that, but if I change my name to Eric, right? Like, what's your Muslim name, brother? No, I messed it up. What's your name, brother? Eddie? No, I messed it up again. What's your Muslim name? You guys know about Muslim names and all that? In America, a lot of people convert. They take on an Arabic name for whatever reason. I did it too. I don't know if I would have done it again. I don't know. What's your name? Oh, my Muslim name is Eddie. It's as random as calling yourself anything else. So you have this name. Now the name, if I came tomorrow and I said, no, I'm sorry, my name is Eddie, would you not recognize me anymore? You know, my name is Eddie. Who are you? Do I know you? Wait, do I know you? And then you introduce yourself, and then you say, my name is Derek. Who are you? You are not your name. Your name can change. Okay, if you're not your body, and you're not your attributes, and you're not your name, what are you?
Intellect.
Doesn't your intellect change? I mean, I hope it does, because when I was 5, I don't have a 5-year-old's intellect, or a 5-year-old mind. And when you learn something, doesn't your intellect change? Don't you become more intellectual?
Your experiences.
If I am my experiences, then if I have amnesia, I'm no longer. I'm not. If I am my experiences, then. Yeah, but no. If someone else sees me, they're not going to have a problem with identifying me. So what am I? Inner characteristics are like our characteristics. Innate. What does that mean?
Inside you.
Your essence.
Still with you, what's been given to you by Allah.
So what you're saying is you are that thing which makes you not something else. No, watch how this works. It's called an essence. It's called an essence. You are that thing which makes you not something else. So for example, if I, like, this is nice. This is we call this English musk in America. We do. It's like rose and sandalwood, I think. We call it English musk. I don't know why. Okay. Am I this bottle? Nope. You guys are like, no, dude, you're not the bottle. Okay. Right off the bat, I'm not this thing because it's not like you can separate between the two. This has a different essence than this. This has a different essence than this. You understand? That's what I am. It can be defined by how I'm distinguished by other things. That's what I am. What makes me that way, though? For example, when you have a human being, when you have a person, when a person dies and that person's laying on the ground and they're dead, do you like that's your grandfather? When you look at that person laying there on the ground and they're dead, is that granddad still?
Yes.
Yes or no? If it is granddad still, then why don't you leave granddad in the house? No, I'm serious. If it is granddad, no, I'm serious. You love someone so much, like, as soon as they die, you gotta go. That body's gotta go. Gotta go. You gotta get in the ground, man. Because I'm not that body. Have you ever seen a dead person before? That's why you answered that. If you see a dead person, you realize, oh, well, that's not him. That's not him. Something left. The ruh. The soul. So what I am is that thing that left the body. Now whether or not you can weigh it, whether or not it has a color, whether or not you can taste it, it doesn't matter. It's what makes me different, distinct, ultimately distinct from other objects, other things, and it obviously leaves. That's your ruh, or your soul, or what you might also call your essence, your that. Everybody with me? Now do you know who you are? Now if that's who I am, how important is it that I take care of my soul? There is no more importance than that. There's some brothers in here that might be a little bit embarrassed about this one, but whatever. All that time that you dudes spend, I know I do it too, in front of that mirror, making sure, get that perfect line. And I know you guys do it because you get these crazy haircuts these days. I know you guys. You don't go to the salon and get this haircut and then not spend hours in the mirror making sure that whatever substance you put to make your hair hard doesn't just perfect or yeah. All that time that we're spending, we wouldn't think a thing about it. Do you think it's a waste of time? Is it a waste of time to make sure that your clothes look right? Is it a waste of time? No, because you're embellishing your person. But that's not even you. And what's crazy about Western society is we don't even know how to take care of ourselves. What we are, because we don't even know what we are. How do I take care of myself? I have to take care of my soul. How do I take care of my soul? This is what Ramadan is for. In Ramadan, you take away those things that deteriorate your soul. What do you think deteriorates your soul? Indulgences. What else? Excessive food. Excessive food. Excessive talking about every kind of thing but your end. Being busy with life. But the question is, how does that break you down? How does it break you down?
It stops you from the journey.
How does it stop you from the journey?
Because what you were saying earlier about the end and reaching the end, so
Yeah.
you're not talking about Allah, then you're stuck in where you're going back.
So what you're saying, he's saying it causes you to not reach it. Now look, when I was in Mecca, the first time I went to Mecca, I spoke no Arabic. That's all. Few words here and there. I was all the time I was going around the haram and doing things, I always heard the Arabs say, ruh, 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 ruh. Now, ruh means soul, right? Wait. I'm thinking it means soul. So I'm like, yeah. This place is so soulful, man. It's like, ruh, ruh, ruh. They're telling me, get out of the way. Go. Because apparently I was too slow and stupid and American and out of my element to just get out of the way. Now that indicates that the word soul has a meaning which means movement. It's like, rih is a wind. Ruh, move. A ruh is, in other words, it's in its very name. There's this idea of movement. The soul moves. The soul is moving. The soul is changed. It's going somewhere. That's what it's made for. That's why it's called a soul. That's why it's called a ruh. What causes the soul to die is lack of movement. If you have wudu, if you have water, those of you who like jurisprudence, if you have water that's been sitting for a long time, can you use that water? I'll give you a quick fiqh lesson. If you have water that's been stagnant and sitting in a bucket or some kind of place for too long, to the point where there's a film over it, you can't use it anymore. You can't use that water because it went stagnant. The soul is the same way. If it doesn't move, it dies. How does the soul move? Dhikr, ibadah. Tell me more. How does the soul move? Remembering Allah, that's dhikr. Okay, the soul also moves by way of something not being in its way to move. Removing obstacles. If I shut that door and try to walk, I keep walking into the door, you'd say, like, maybe we shouldn't invite this Imam again. He's a little bit like, he was cool, but man, that dude was nuts. He kept, he wouldn't, what would you suggest that I do? Remove the obstacle. Because if you don't, eventually, la qadr of Allah, if I was to shut that door and keep trying to go, after a few days, you're not going to hear me anymore. I'll die. I have to move. Get out of this. Do something. I have to move or I will die. That's in the movie.
Don't move.
Yeah, movement is life. That's another thing you pick up from the movie. Movement is life. So, this is the conclusion, inshallah. Have you heard this hadith? There are 2 celebrations for the one who's fasting. What's the first hadith that we read when we sat down? Do you remember? Man ahabba liqa Allahi ahabba liqa'ahu. Whoever loves to meet Allah, Allah loves to meet them. And whoever hates to meet Allah, Allah hates to meet them. Remember that. There are 2, and we've tried to say that the idea of meeting is the idea of reaching your end. Whoever loves to meet their end, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah loves to have them meet their end. And the meaning of love when it comes from the slave is that they are moving towards their fulfillment, and the meaning of love when it comes from Allah is that He removes the obstacles of that to happen. So Ramadan, there are 2 celebrations for the one fasting. Abu Hurairah relates to the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, Allah says, again, Hadith Qudsi, every deed on the child of Adam is for himself, except for fasting. It is for me, and I shall reward it. What do you think He's going to reward it with? Himself. You didn't fast for anybody but Allah, so Allah is going to give you Himself as a reward. How do you know you didn't fast for anybody but Allah? You can't tell when someone's fasting. Well, you can in England, though, because they just look like they're going to die. But in more temperate, in more kind of equatorial places, you can't tell that someone's fasting. Maybe their lips might get a little white or whatever. Unless you tell someone, they can't know. That's why fasting is one of the most sincere acts of worship. And that's why Allah says, I will reward it myself. Fasting is a shield. So if it is a day of fasting for any one of you, then he should engage in no obscenity or shouting. If you are fasting, stay away from the obstacles of the heart. Don't ruin your travel to me by putting obstacles there. What are they? Being ugly, being obscene. You're going to make your heart, your soul stop when you do that. Fasting is a shield. How is it a shield? Because you're knocking off those obstacles with it. So if it is a day of fasting for any one of you, then he should engage in no obscenity or shouting. If anyone belittles him or fights with him, he should say, I am a person who's fasting. I swear by him in whose hand is Muhammad's soul. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. The smell of the fasting person's breath is sweeter to Allah on the day of judgment than that of musk. Which is beautiful, because some people get some stank breath. Real bad. Like, bro, I understand you're fasting, but just talk that way. Please. Oh God. In other words, it's like Allah is saying, don't worry about it, don't worry about it. It's sweet to me, because you did it for me. The fasting of the person has two occasions for joy. One, when he breaks his fast, because of his breaking it, and the other one when he meets his Lord because of the reward of his fast. The liqa. The first one is for the body, because you're in it, man. And the second one is for the soul. The liqa. The liqa. The secret of fasting, and I'll end with this point. The secret of fasting, the inward secret of fasting, is doing without other than Allah. The outward form of fasting is doing away with things that Allah doesn't like or that He's prohibited. The inward of fasting is doing away with everything that's not Allah. Because Allah is the end. You might see other ends along the way, but you realize that those ends are nothing but an expression of the end. Al-Muntaha. Al-Muntaha. So that means that when you're fasting, the real fast, do you know the real fast is continual. The real fast, the people who know Allah, their fast is every day of the year. 365 days of the year they're fasting. They are fasting from everything that is not Allah. So my Ramadan reflection for us is to understand that what you and I are doing in this month, may we ask Allah that He gives us the spiritual reality of doing without other than Him, realizing that He is the end, realizing that all ends that are in our life are only getting their endness from the end, and understand that the only thing that can fulfill you is Allah. Like Sheikh Hassan Dem, a Senegalese, I'm trying to put it nice.
Just to find words.
He put it, a very, very powerful Senegalese scholar. Actually, he's just West African. He's not Fula. Living in Fula, Senegalese. It's a long story. He says that when a person is fasting, or we can put it like this: قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. Everyone knows what that means. Say Allah, He is Ahad. Do you know what Ahad is? Ahad is a oneness that is so intensely one that it has no number. Ahadiyya is a oneness that is so intensely one that even one itself is too much. That's why we say wahid, we don't say ahad. قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. When the slave is fasting, they're in قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. Because there's nothing coming to them. Complete dependence. There's no intake. And then when you break your fast, Allahu Samad. When you break your fast, you're in Allahu Samad, because now you are showing how, Samadiyya is that everything turns towards Allah in their dependence. When you say Qul huwa Allahu ahad, you are in a state of ahadiyya. You're in a state of complete and utter inability and nothingness, because Allah is all. And then when you break your fast, you're in the samadiyya of Allah, because you realize that, man, I needed this. You're tasting it, I needed this. And you're realizing that everything depends upon Him. And all of this is related to Tawheed, and may Allah make us true muwahhidun. Barakallahu fikum. Sallallahu wa sallam ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun. Salamun ala al-mursaleen. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.